Good evening, it's October 8th, the time is 6:38 PM. We are going to have our Building Grounds Transportation Committee meeting. President for the meeting is myself, Mr. Piro. Our Director of Facilities, Mr. Pay, Ms. Kate Ratner, Ms. Gonzalez-Bora, Dr. Lehman, Ms. DePayne, Mr. Maralda, and Ms. Martyr from Transportation. So tonight, we're going to start in reverse. We're going to start with our transportation review. So, Ms. Martyr, is there anything you need to tell us in reference to transportation? How are we doing? Any issues you want to state?
It's going smoothly with the contractors. They all have radios and it's working out very well. They're very cooperative.
To clarify, radios, they have like Monroe radios now, or?
Garris has our radios. Raphael actually gave us one of their radios that has a separate line. Their buses and their dispatcher are connected to it. So the principal at Mill Lake has that radio and has access in constant communication with those drivers.
Okay,
So they're all connected, you know, that.
now we're all connected.
Yes, and it's going very well.
The bus app, where are we at with that?
We have a meeting. They wanted to do it next week. Unfortunately, we have half days, so we're trying to fit it into the schedule where it's not busy in my office, so I can actually go over it with them. And, you know, we're gonna start, you know, going over everything, deciding, you know, which school we're actually gonna do the pilot with. And, that's been going, so,
Yeah, so we were in communication with them as recently as today,
yeah.
I believe, to just kind of set up. So where we're at with the next steps is we reactivated the relationship once we were authorized to continue. And we started, once the district got up and running and kind of settled in, we don't want to overcommit, but we kind of dismissed Mill Lake as that area for piloting this for reasons we mentioned last meeting, just logistical simplicity reasons. The Bright Spot, Right Angle Solutions, that's the organization that we're partnering with on this. They have reached out to us and have already alerted us to what type of data they will need from us, and that's basically where we're at as the next step. So once we decide on where the pilot is going to take place, which I believe that's going to be determined at that very next meeting, we already know what information they need regarding for the bus transportation stops and how that would all work. It's just a matter of getting those files, converting it into the templates, which they've already provided.
Yeah.
And then just handing it over. And then there's a little bit of onboarding that they have to do to prepare the drivers. And but there is some professional learning opportunities coming up in the next couple of weeks that we think we might be able to take advantage of. And
Mr. Maraldo, can I just,
yeah,
to clarify, because I know we had initially discussed last spring possibly of doing the pilot at Mill Lake, and then when we spoke about it, I think it was August, because there's a mixture of the contracted buses and our buses, not necessarily piloting it there, but then I think we had also said that we might want, whether it's Mill Lake or another school in that situation, seeing, because we don't know how long we're gonna have both our buses and contracted routes, piloting it somewhere where we do have all of those, different scenarios to see if it works for us with that, as
for
opposed
sure.
to.
Yep, and that would be like the second phase of the pilot. And we spoke about that with the representatives from there. And they did want us to assure the committee that, the system does work with contracted buses. There's a couple extra steps that we have to do, and we spoke about that. It's just a matter of making sure our technology ends up on a contracted bus and then comes back with us at the end of the day, which is another layer of governance that we would have to consider if and when we move in that direction. But as far as synchronizing with our existing systems, ensuring that we can minimize or keep the cost at zero, which is what this pilot is. And most importantly, ensuring that the pilot does not disrupt the already existing operations, which we feel like we're settling into, particularly with the contracted buses. But,
So the second phase would also be in that.
yeah, that would be the
before
next
we-
point of consideration.
Okay.
How many buses would we do, like in the first phase? What are we talking?
I would imagine in order to get a true and accurate assessment, we would want to do it all our vision would be the entirety of the sister school. So if we choose, let's say Barclay Brook Brookside,
We do all the buses.
yeah, we get them all, see how it works.
So whatever school we pick,
yeah,
we're gonna
collect
do
feedback
all the
from the
buses
parents.
for that that school or sister school.
And just one point of emphasis, similar to what we said last night about some of the summer school stuff. You know, when you do a pilot, it's great, but we also want to make sure that as we move forward, we prioritize the anticipated expense, because it won't be free forever.
Right.
And whether or not, because listen, my guess is that these guys are gonna deliver a nice product and everyone's gonna be happy. But,
We have to evaluate the sustainability of it.
yeah, and then there are other things we've talked about, you know, you do it.
Is the price still the same, or did they increase their price? Do we know what they're?
They're honoring, the original terms that they offered us. They've been terrifically flexible and patient with us, so I'm grateful for that. And then, so we'll be able to give you an update at the next committee meeting. And then, I'll also be, keeping tabs, on the client, just to make sure that, you know, if they have anything as far as the partnership and the pilot, that they need on our end, we'll be able to work with them.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did just want, since you mentioned that you're gonna try to set up a meeting with them, whether it's sort of discussed there, or if we just ask them to, you know, keep track of this, or maybe I guess it's something in the transportation department, to see if there's a reduction of
Calls or issues.
concerns, or like emails, phone calls about, you know, you mentioned that this year there hasn't been as many of those as we've had in the past, but sort of to see, like, is this a potential cost savings for us? Because obviously there is a cost to the app, but if we're reducing workloads in other areas, I would be curious to know, or if they have that data possibly from one of the other districts they
Yeah,
work
so
with.
like almost like an efficacy metric.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was something I would have to discuss, or we would have to discuss with your office and see how much time and opportunity cost and things that we could reclaim. And then, you know, obviously, I would defer to you guys, judging on that, about where you'd want to prioritize your time resource. But the important thing is that we are proceeding. You know, I think the timing now is good. We are in the throes of the school year. We think we have, you know, the only reason I'm being a little coy is because I don't want to overcommit, but we think we have a pretty good idea where we want this to take place and how it would work. And then we'll just look forward to reporting out on our meeting with them next week.
I had two questions. One, to just back up what Ms. Ratner said. I think one of my asks was, when he came here with the proposal, was that we need a pre-POC and post-POC comparison, some sort of, why do we need this app, right? So, and I'm sure the onus lies on them. If we don't have to do all that work, they should give us the benefit of using their, and I'm sure they probably have given some sort of a document like that to other districts. So maybe we just make the step to convince the board, it might be good to have a certain, you know,
Absolutely,
proof
yeah,
of
and
concept
they've
presentation.
they've offered comps in some of their other clients with, you
Yeah.
know, like, but we're very unique, as you know, and its scalability in this town isn't always apples to apples.
Yeah.
So, but there, you know, we'll get there if the
Right.
committee and the board.
The other thing that I wanted to ask, and maybe I wasn't paying attention, but this is one of the things that we were considering back in March. But we heard about the equipment that we currently have on our bus and the ability for those equipment. Did you mention why we're not talking about that right now? Why is that out of the picture?
Well, if I understand correctly, if I'm wrong, to activate that feature or that service within the existing equipment, there would be a cost associated with it.
Right, and that was mentioned to us, but we haven't heard back as to what that cost would be.
Yes.
So I think our
Yeah.
ask was,
I don't have it with me,
I
but I
thought-
could actually
right,
forward.
so
it.
It's like
basically,
8,000 for that.
we're looking at per person cost, per student cost with Right Spot. Where we have these existing equipment in our buses, we should be comparing that to per student cost of enabling that equipment, and also features, of course. It's not just the cost, but also what are we getting for that cost? We can't just go with one vendor. In my opinion, we have to explore two options at least, if not more.
Gazelle, that other option only tells you where the bus is, not who's.
No, so they had an additional feature to
I
it
thought
that
it
we
was-
were not using. No, so that's what you mentioned. There was an
I
additional.
can actually forward what they sent me with the
That'd
two comparable
Okay,
things.
We
but
don't pay
so
for
there's
it right
another
now.
one that'll tell you the kid on the bus?
it's the same company, if I recall, that uses our.
But an
software,
upgraded
but they have an
version of
upgraded
the
version,
technology.
which from what I remember, the cost was more than what Right Spot was offering for.
Okay.
I don't think we
Similar-
got a price.
Right, I don't think we had we were just told, I think it was more, but I don't think we had the exact
Yeah,
numbers.
so if
And I
there's
don't think
another
it's not
option.
Like the actual the specs of it, like
I
what
guess just
they're giving.
an apples to apples comparison.
I understand it.
Right spot on
The
that.
other option only told us the bus location.
No, so if
Like
you
the
don't
parent
have that
told us the
upgraded,
location, but it wouldn't, where the other one tells you, so the bus could show up and your kid doesn't get off it, and all it tells you is where the bus is.
Right,
Where the other one tells you the student is on the bus.
right, so I think Bright
It
Spot
tracks-
offers that.
I'm 100% that when we talk about this, the
Right.
one could only tell you the
that's
bus.
the
information.
that's the existing feature, but if we go with the
Yeah.
extra paid version, we could get more.
We could get more on
Yes.
students.
That's what,
Okay.
that's why we asked them to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
the price.
Whatever that company is, they have
Also, to your
different
point, the
options.
feature, that's the difference between
Yeah.
what Right Spot is providing.
And
You can
that-
find out all these things.
Absolutely. As long as the track.
So now I'm remembering, so you're both, so they
Okay.
do
That's not
that,
dramatic.
but there's there's an upcharge.
Upcharge, exactly. So what we
that-
have,
But I believe there's an upcharge there's two upcharges that we need.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like you said, the
I thought
first,
the one upcharge we talked about was 8,000, that would tell us where the bus was.
that's
But
one.
not
That's-
the student.
that's the first
We didn't talk
upcharge.
about a
They
second.
have an upcharge to the
There's an
upcharge.
upcharge for the upcharge.
Okay, I'll take it.
And I think what happened was we dismissed it because we said, well, before we get that far, let's check out the free pilot to see if it's something.
See what that was. Okay.
if I can put this to a context of what we recently did with BG&T and the ESIP program. We had two vendors come here, give us a proposal.
Mhm.
And we compared apples to apples, and we decided which vendor we wanted to go with. You guys decide which of those two vendors, is it that equipment or Right Spot and somebody else? But you can do everything yourself and just tell us, we saw this, and just earlier, Ms. Allen explained to us two tools that she saw. I think it just gives us the confidence that we looked around enough and we know that this is the right thing. Or you know, not we.
You know.
We believe what you believe, but you know what's the right thing and you've explored enough. So that's the ask. Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, is there any other transportation issues that we need to be made aware of, or anything? How are we with drivers? Are we down drivers?
we're down driver. Right now, there's a few out on medical, so they will be returning. We're doing the best that we can.
Are we doing double runs and all that stuff
We
again?
have done them the last couple of days. We've had quite a few out and,
Okay,
I
that's
don't-
always an issue, okay, yeah.
Dr. Lehman, has this come up at like council meetings that you know of, or other districts dealing with this problem? Or I guess you're not in your head, so you might know as well.
it's all over.
It's a bus shortage.
It's just a constant, when you have a certain amount of people and a certain amount of positions, and then things happen where you're down 1, 2, 3, 4, get a few leaves here and there, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
it turns into what we deal with on occasion. It's not a systemic issue necessarily moving forward. We're continuing to train drivers,
Yeah,
train with two paras,
yes.
go through the process that became drivers. So, we have like a feeder system that we're working through. But, this is something that I don't ever see,
Go away.
yeah. I mean, it's-
I haven't
In the
seen it go
classroom-
away for 4 years
In the
now.
classroom, we bring in substitute teachers, and there's a number-ish, we have plenty of subs to bring in, when it comes to substitute drivers and things like that, we have one substitute driver, and he could probably work as much as he wants, because we could use him whenever he's available,
Right.
so. And we have a competitive sub rate, we're still hiring for substitute bus drivers, so,
Yeah. Actually, so you reminded me of another question I had. On our buses, I know that we have paraprofessionals on some of our buses. Is there a way that it's determined? Obviously, if there's a requirement because a student needs one, that's a no-brainer. But aside from that, are there certain buses that do have and certain buses that don't have paraprofessionals in addition to drivers, or?
The special needs buses all have,
So it only,
if it's required in their IEP, those students do have. I have one special needs bus that does not require a para.
okay, and other than special needs buses, our buses generally do not have any paras?
No, but, personally, if I find out there's an issue, I wouldn't hesitate to put somebody, even I'll go on the bus, just to monitor, it, just to see what's going on. Whether we have to switch drivers, sometimes you have to, not because the driver's not a good driver, not because, they just,
Not a right fit,
yes, yeah. So, I will do that on occasion if I feel it's necessary.
okay.
And usually we can clear it up one way or another, you know.
Do we spot check the videos of the
Yes.
buses? So
Yes.
you pick a bus, see, because it gives you speed of the bus and everything.
Yeah, well, even, Zonar, we can see where they are and what they're doing, and, you know, whenever I get a phone call from the public, I always say, that, you know, they're like, I'm sorry for, you know, bothering, I said, you know what? I can't see everything, so
So you can
if you
check.
have a complaint, please reach out to us, so this way I can look into it, you know, so yes, we do, we definitely do.
How many double runs do we have to do this?
We did, last week was worse, last week I think we did 5, but they weren't terribly late, not that that makes it any better. It's tough, and I didn't want to do it, I mean, I even had the office staff on buses, so it's not that I didn't try, you know, it's just a bit.
Can I ask one last question? How's it going with the multiple vendors, direct relationship, everything
I think
still?
it's great. It's going great.
Okay.
They pick up the phone. If I have a question, they pick up the phone. If I need something, they're right there in the office. I haven't had any, I had to request a video. I got it that day.
No second thoughts, no, you know.
No. They're so cooperative. They really are. And like I said, I like having that one, you know, I don't have a middleman. It makes it so much easier.
I'm glad you guys
It's been a
did
pleasure.
that then,
Yep.
to direct contracts.
If we had an issue where, say, we lost 4 bus drivers for 6 months, would we be able to bring in more of these contractors busing to fill that spots? To ensure
have
that
that.
we
I
don't have double runs
actually-
every day?
I actually did speak with, I believe it was Laura Allen. I might have spoken with you about it. That thought has crossed my mind, so.
I mean, if we're gonna be out, you know, losing a bus driver for
So-
3, 4, 5 months.
That becomes a financial question more than a availability piece. The availability piece is we would go out and, you know, reach out to vendors for picking up routes. It would just be a matter of cost versus, you know, what we're doing now.
Well, I'm just saying, is it an option, like, if, you know.
Yeah, we certainly can-
3 bus double routing for 6 months.
Right, we certainly
If
can.
we know that we have an issue, we'll be able to try to figure, like, is there maybe a possible solution?
Yep, those are possible solutions.
It's important for the younger kids.
Yep.
Just one last quick thing, and I know we sort of already talked about it, but because we're, you know, now in the second month, and I know you get requests for, you know, consideration about where students are being picked up. And, you know, you get back to people after you've sort of had that chance to evaluate it. I guess just one question that had come up to me is like, how is it evaluated? Which, you know, I sort of knew from what had been shared, but if you could sort of just like repeat, like what happens if somebody reaches out and says, I have a concern about this bus stop for my child. What are the steps then that are taken?
Well, I'll definitely discuss it with, you know, Tiffany, who's the supervisor. If I'm still unsure, I will go out to the stop.
Okay,
And this way I can visually see what they're talking about, you know, because sometimes what it looks like on a map, what somebody tells me are 2 different things. If there's safety involved, there was one stop and they said there was an issue. It was an issue and I apologize and I changed the stop, but, I take everything into consideration and the safety is the first and foremost
okay,
in my eyes. You know, I had another stop the other day, and in order to accommodate this stop, I had to reroute the entire ending of this route, and I said, we have to do it. You know, with a clear conscience, I can't keep this stop here. It is a safety concern. And it was switched, and it made the route a little longer, but the child was safe. And I could go to sleep with a peace of mind knowing like, okay, I did the right thing. So,
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck, guys.
All right, let's move on. Why don't we start with the outgoing rod grant there? David?
The first one is the roof projects. The committee members have before them change order request number 2 involves the 1983 roof. I've talked all along about some structural issues with the roof. When the tear off was done there, section of the existing metal panel support system was not secure enough. The architect designed modification to that, which is what you have here. The cost for this is covered in the allowance that we have for the project. We have more than adequate funds to handle this. So recommend we just process this and proceed.
Okay, anybody have a question on
Is that a 12-day delay? So it's just the work would take those many days that's gonna go on.
Nothing on the roof, that particular roof.
Could impact
us
the-
to the opening. The only issue from the roofing that we still have open is the roofer has 2 windows on order. Part of the roofing process, we had to remove existing windows and raise them because you get the proper, maybe for the flashing, down flashing. Those windows are on back order, so we're working on a plan to put something in temporary.
And Mr. Take, the change order that we handled last meeting was also related to.
That was on 1960.
The other room.
Oh, the other one, but a similar thing, I was like.
He had told us at the last meeting that this other room, so we may get another change order.
You got
Mr. Teague, if I can just ask, I was gonna ask the same question to you about if there's any further delays, which is good to hear that it's sort of just within that time frame. Is there an estimate of, because I know we had to push it back because they were delayed, without knowing like an exact day, do we know approximately when the students will be able to return to Applegarth? Has there been any communication to parents
So
about that?
let's close out the roofs. So nothing on the roof will prevent us from reoccupying. There'll be some punch list stuff and some other items.
Okay.
We're still exploring the issue with not getting proper drainage out of one of the existing roof drains. I'm trying to have that scoped and see if there are problems. I know there's a sizable allowance in the project for drainage, so we can do something here. We've authorized them to get a camera crew out there and scope it to figure out what's happening here. So that closes out the roofs. The next component of the next contract that the board had on the project is for the new electric service. As you know, everyone has referred to the part, we wait on switch gears now.
The infamous.
This is a picture of just one section of it. It arrived this week, so construction is underway, back on target.
It arrives here?
Yes.
Oh.
The big.
Right out.
There were the kind of like right outside. But this is.
Right out.
It arrived at Applegarth.
Yeah.
I meant to say in district. I should have said.
Like, oh God, nothing's moving.
Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness.
Installation is underway. It's a lengthy process, but the path we're on, it looks like the first week of November, when schools are closed for teacher recess, we should be able to do that. That's what we're targeting. We'll monitor it closely over the next couple of weeks because there's some major things that has to happen in conjunction with this, but everything is looking promising. Dr. Lynn and I talked as we get closer, Dr. Adriano, get a plan for the movement, but that week really sets up nicely for being able to transition in and students go back. It's time for the teachers to go and set up their rooms, have access to the building, et cetera. Work will continue beyond that. Remember, from day one, we have a lot of HVAC construction that will continue on into early next year. But that will move to the second shift once we get back into the building. So,
But we were able to take advantage of the first shift, like regular shift.
it's been advantageous to that contract. To be very honest.
So based on what you're saying, there's definitely no probability of before November, so,
No.
and we don't have a crystal ball. Anything could happen, but we do know that it's not before November, so Dr. Lee, maybe we send that communication.
It's already planned, queued up, because we.
Thank you, because I have been, like I told you, I
It
have,
did go out today, but it's gonna go out tomorrow.
yes, there's been so many parents and staff members that have.
They wanna know
come
when.
in the just, they wanna know what's going on, and they were waiting for this week to get the news of moving it. So if we know definitely not before November, we should let them know and, and always put that caveat in the email. That it is, we're trying our best and and hope that it will be November.
Hopeful.
And it's not like nobody here is purposely delaying anything. It is what it is. We can control what we can control. But what we can definitely control is the communication. So I hope we can just
Yep.
send it out and make sure parents, students and teachers know everything that we know.
Just the
Thank you.
last thing, the second phase that you mentioned, that we knew was gonna go on, while school's present and the kids are there. Are there going to be any, is work done during the day? Is there any disruptions to class, or is it all done
It's all
outside of
after
that?
hours, no works there with kids
Yeah,
are
we might have some work done in like
outside.
rooms or boardrooms, nothing affecting school.
Okay. Thank you.
Next part of it?
Next item on the agenda, item 2 is the ESA project update. The committee members received a weekly report from Honeywell. Progress is continuing on the LED lighting. They're making good progress. They have increased their crew. And the most promising part is that we just received yesterday the boilers at middle school and Barclay Middle School. That's a big hurdle.
That's great news.
As you've seen in the weekly reports, construction has been underway at the middle school. Now that the boilers are here, we actually moved them into the boiler room yesterday. Those sections will be done, and then we'll target Barclay Brook shortly thereafter.
What is the BMS wiring? It's,
Building management system, your
got
very
it.
simple terms. That's
I'm sure.
highly complex, but.
All right, I know like the educational little things, but once again,
I had a couple questions on the ESID update. The pictures on the lighting are always very exciting to see, but this time when I'm looking at it, I did want to ask, are they always taken around the same time of the day? It's a night and day difference literally in some of these pictures. So there's a high school classroom picture.
oh yeah. And the weather too.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Tell them to be fair in their evaluation because it makes it look so good right now. Have you been able?
It's a very nice difference in the rooms, and they've been well received by staff.
And I want to really believe that. I do want to believe that. And the pictures where there's no window is clearly evident, right? You can see that there's no window there. There's no outside light interference. It shows that Oak Tree, lighting project is 100% complete. Did you have a chance to compare any, utility bills yet? When can we see those kind of numbers on the
Well,
table?
remember, we fought very hard with Monroe to get them to agree to have an engineering analysis done for us when the project is done. So you'll be getting that at no cost.
Okay,
So that's the way to do it.
okay, thank you.
I did just see it on the last page, which I love that we're getting these additional details, with the updates. It mentions finish, October 17th for all, like the lighting upgrades, the boiler replacement and the control upgrades. Is that correct? Like they'll all be done as of next Friday?
These are weekly reports. This is a weekly report.
Oh, okay.
The last page, right? That's what we.
Yeah, all right. So that's just showing what's happening for
What
them,
is happening? What are they working
Okay.
on? Right?
not that it's finished.
No, the report is great. It gives us a very granular look at what's going on. The only thing that they cannot predict is the TBD that bothers me is because they don't know when they're gonna get those parts. And like you said, they have an issue with not committing to a date on that. But seems to be moving along at a good pace.
Yes. And the solar piece, again, is a separate contract, not through Honeywell, direct with us. As I mentioned previously, it's going through a regulatory process, which they anticipate getting the regulatory sign-offs by December, and then they can start the work next year. So we're still on target for that. This past week, we've been back and forth with the Middlesex County Planning Board for their approvals. Their approvals are contingent upon the Township Planning Board, which we went through and received their verification now it's at the county. County will release theirs. The utility company, Board of Public Utilities, gives the final blessing on this. So it's heading down the right path.
Making progress.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item number 3 is the annual comprehensive maintenance plan. Committee members have a handout on this, and this is just to let you know this will be on the upcoming board report. I would not recommend that you look too deeply into this because I'll be quite frank, it's a kind of a useless tool that the Department of Education makes you go through. And the numbers here don't really reflect anything. The Department of Education starts with a value of our buildings, and it's based on a square foot cost from 25 years ago. The Department of Education has been stuck on, which is $143 a square foot.
That's crazy.
And then a percentage, 2% is drawn off of that every year as an increase to that. So and then the repairs that you see here are the BOE standards. They want to make sure that we are at least committing these funds here, and we commit more than those funds there. But it is a process that you must go through and have board action on, so.
I was scratching my head looking at all the Apple Watch stuff and I said, where's the 5 million? Like, I do see the roof and I do see the HVAC, but I just don't see, I see peanuts out there.
Exactly. So quite frankly, it's useless, but it is a bureaucratic regulatory thing that we must go through, so. Present to you, Ms. Allen will present it at the board meeting.
So my question would be, so this is something that we need to do to meet the requirement at DOE. When you guys go through budget philosophy, is that what is that report called that we build internally for our district as to this? These are definitely the capital projects, and this is what it's gonna cost that needs to be done in the coming year.
Well, that's the budget development. I can tell you historically, I know in years past, sometimes the board in August would have a board retreat where you folks would get together and say, our goal for next year is we want to look at, okay, K, put some additional classrooms when we did at Oak Tree and the stage and the media center. You could kind of come up with a theme and then the budget would go around it, so.
But I think infrastructurally, given how many students we have and what our buildings are going through, which you know better than, we've only been firefighting. I don't think we have the time to put a wish list out. Or the money. We have the time, we have the money.
I was gonna say, we have
We have the time to put a wish list out, but we don't have the money to put it.
During the budget development process, we, towards the tail end, we're meeting and starting to take a close look at fine tuning things. And Mr. Tague's request list usually tops 15, 20, $30 million, right? Parking lots, this and that. So
Keep doing that. Mr. Tague.
he has, needs identified, and they're all different, different thresholds. So for instance, a lot of the things on his list historically, we are taking care of in the ESIP program.
Phase one,
So-
I would love to believe that there will be a phase two after.
So if you ask about, why the Woodland chiller and why the Barkley Brook chiller, right? Those were, if you look at the needs of that type of equipment, that was something that is right there at the top of the list, ready to.
25 years old, we know it's about to go.
There are other things that he advocates for. We're approaching the 15-year, useful life. We should begin to repair this. Well, there's a 25-year one we've been keeping along. This is the one that gets an ESIP, but this one is on his list, right? If we had the funds to do it, it would be something smart to do, but we don't get there. And he advocates for that. The parking lots, we address certain square footage every year. There are a couple schools, we'd love to totally gut the parking lots and totally redo them. We know the oil prices have been insane the past few years. We talked, apples to apples. We're looking at almost the expense of replacing roofs to do parking lots and things like that. So, his list is comprehensive, but when we get to, like you said, the push come to shove, we captured and historically capture a decent chunk of projects. We got a lot more this year through the ESIP piece because we were able to get that ESIP type funding. And then we continue on with the rest of the process. So, you'll see, we go through the year, we might have smaller, ventilator unit than not the big rooftop units, but the smaller ones that are like 50 grand instead of
Yeah,
450
right.
grand. So, when we say we have capital projects, Jerry, we got 100 grand for capital. What do you have that fits that kind of profile? And he'll say, well, I got these two things, top of the list, priority, boom, and we can kind of swing them in. So he maintains, and I don't speak for you, but he has a list of, this is the one we put, plugging the issues with. This is the one that needs to get done. We're definitely dealing with stuff like every massive organization that, we'd love to be, all right, we're at 15 years, we're going to replace it at 16 years. Our maintenance crew is amazing. It allows us to keep them much longer than that.
Yeah.
But, he advocates for, we certainly want to add on to our bleachers, right? So that's something that we talk about every single year in the budget process, but it's not something that we can realistically in this time right now, spend that kind of money. So, his wish list is probably.
Pretty extensive,
Yes,
so you
and
really
I'm-
answered my
I don't
question.
want to even disrespect, it's not a wish list,
No.
his list
Yeah.
It's
of
a
things
need
to
list,
do.
it's a need list of our bill. No, so you really answered my question very well. What I wanted to know was that, probably I don't see the need to look at this because like you said, this is procedural. But as a board, we should sort of, to set our board goals right, should be looking at that list. That's a gold mine of a list. That's an eye opener of a list. And I know you're probably not comfortable sharing that, but knowing that these are the needs, because when I was looking at the ESIP plan, right, when they came up and you were making a case for what needs to be done, to see how much of our equipment had reached at 25 years of age. We had no plans for it. So if we didn't go with ESIP, we were looking at continuous costly repairs, or we were looking at shutdowns because repair also wasn't enough. I think for a board to have realistic goals, I know we don't do the retreat, but to have that document maybe once a year to look at. And you guys are the ones making the decision, you probably have, over the years, always made the right decision. That's why every building is so functional. We've not had any crisis. But that's the visual we should be, just like you said, I was stressing on this, but I shouldn't have because it's.
You know, I applaud the boards of the past because for about a 10 or 12-year period here, money was put aside for capital every year. So every year, doing a roof, a this or that. Brookside School is a perfect example. Brookside at the time was the oldest from an HVAC standpoint. In 1 year for capital project, we replaced the entire HVAC system over there as an in-house project. And we've worked our way through roofs. Where the hiccup came in this district is the growth. So there were many years where the 2 million or so I would have used for roofs or boiler replacements, those kind of things that went for, well, we need 10 classrooms here, we need trailers, we need this, and it was taken for growth rather than for infrastructure, and that's what got us in this position. But again, to applaud the boards of, historically here, many other districts, most other districts allow all of that stuff to go to pot and then go to the public and say, hey, all our roofs are leaking, all of our boilers are shot, give us a referendum for infrastructure, whereas Monroe has done a very nice job of maintaining infrastructure over the years. It never ends. We're all homeowners, once you replace your water heater, then your roof.
The white out.
Here goes, something else.
It's always gonna go.
Something's always.
Well, think about this, and again, I don't want to open a Pandora's box, but what's the newest building in our district? This one?
Yeah.
What are we gonna start coming up on? The life expectancy of the HVAC and roof sections in this building, which is our newest building,
Yeah.
right? So we
It's never
have
ending.
historically older buildings, right? But our newest building will very soon be coming up on that.
Looking for attention, yeah.
And we have that on our radar, right?
Well, we've already started. So this
Yep.
building is 15 years old now. And the capital project we did here this summer was the fire alarm system, which is a big lift. They don't make them to last 25, 30 years, 15 years is your life. Prior to that, the most recent one we did was Oak Tree, which was 17 years old. So you approach those 15-year markers and you start hitting things. The first thing is the fire alarm system. Stuff Berlin and said, next, it's going to be HVAC equipment. And on this building, it's a massive number. And the roof on this building, when it comes time, is a massive number.
If I could ask, the long-range facilities plan, does that tie into this plan? And is there a way for us to see, like, I know we updated it before, like, I remember us updating it with the ROD grants. I don't know if we have to or did update it with the demographers report, because there was something about
You're
enrollment.
required to do it every 5 years. Ours was done. Our next redo is in 2027.
Okay, so we don't have to,
Major amendment.
Yeah, maybe.
do we have to do any amendments with the demographers report if there were changes with that, or is
When
it?
you do a small project, like when we did Oak Tree Library Classroom, those are what's called a minor amendment. So every time you do a project,
Okay,
capital nature, you have to do, it's called a minor amendment. And you've seen those board actions, you pass resolutions.
right. I was gonna say, is the plan itself, like, I was trying to look for it just now, and I didn't find it in my 5 minutes of searching, but is that something that would have similar information, or is it a completely different report?
It's different, and I don't think you could really grasp much out of that.
Okay,
Because it lists everything. It'll say basically for the high school, carpeting will have a number on it, painting will have a number on it. Those are not kind of things that we budget, we kind of just handle those things along the way. They don't have accurate numbers, they don't identify each and every rooftop unit, and unit ventilator, and control system, and
okay,
so it's not broken down to the level that we need to track it.
right. Alright, thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is full-day kindergarten design study. Committee members received a copy of a proposal from Mr. Alariso, partner with, principal with DI Group Architecture. And, committee and the board knows that, we were given $500,000 towards the development of full-day K, and this would be the first step in that regard. And Dr. Lehman can really chime in here about.
So Mr. Kagan and I met with Mr. Alderiso, and we've worked with him before. He did the majority of the design work for some of our previous projects. He did the design work on Oak Tree, I believe. Did he do this building as well?
His firm did this building.
His firm
He
did
was
this
there.
building as well.
Multiple times showing the referendum.
Right.
Middle school
Yep.
plan too.
Yep, so
We're all
he's-
very familiar with him.
He's, someone we worked with quite often, and our meeting consisted of a discussion about taking a look at the 3 primary elementary schools and explaining to him, we have the half-day kindergarten piece. This is the current layout, this is the current setup in terms of grade utilizations for different spaces, whether it's a small group instruction room, OTPT speech. And then what they do when they do a report like this is they look at what, if we roll in the additional students, what does it look like meeting, the certain thresholds for student enrollment and things like that. We know at Mill Lake, we have the annex, which has a series of classrooms in there. Part of this would be looking at the annex, just to reuse it in its current capacity as an educational space. So there's no question whether it meets the requirements, but he'll take a look at it with the lens from a kindergarten setup or any of the other grade levels that are in his building, in her building rather, which goes up to grade 3. Then they'll also come up with some ideas about, if we think of an oak tree, reclaiming the back of the stage for that classroom, so then we can reutilize that space, reclaiming the media center, so we can reutilize the media center in totality, those 2 classrooms. What does that net out to with any other potential need in terms of, do we need 4 classrooms there? Do we need 4 classrooms and 2 bathrooms? Do we need an extra SGI space? So they kind of go through and sync our needs with whatever the state regulations and expectations are. And then they'll also come up with the way it looks, hopefully a few different areas in the building that, 2, 4, 6 classrooms might fit, whatever the scope is. And the process with this is once we engage him, his firm will work on it. They bring some ideas to us. We engage the building principals to take a look at it and kind of refine ideas. And then we bring everything back here and share the results. And this becomes the foundation for a potential project in the future.
So I'm really excited about this. Does this look at the other buildings, like using let's say Woodland as an example, because we know they're, I believe, under capacity a fair amount right now. Does it look at those numbers and if we're able to get space for Mill Lake by moving anything around or not?
No, so this is looking at the 3 buildings specifically. We look at building use when we go through the budget process. You've probably been around when 3rd graders were at Woodland, and then it goes back to Mill Lake, and then it goes back to Woodland.
Yeah.
So we do that internally.
Okay.
We love to see where we can maximize space.
So when we reach out to Mr. Alderese, is our ask for this design study that we need to fit, full day kindergarten into these 3 buildings? This one has an annex, these 2, you need to let us know. So are we looking for him to come back and say, it's possible, this is how you can do it? Or is there a possibility that he'd come back and say, you probably need trailers, or you probably need, how does it work usually?
So what he's gonna do for us, we've already looked, we can fit in next year.
Okay,
We can fit in next year, not addressing the oak tree pieces that are out there. At Barkley Brook, we also have spaces that are not necessarily, again,
all right, you want
minor amendments.
to see a possibility, but you want the.
Oh, we can fit it in
Okay.
next year.
You need
This is the
put it down
the
and
permanent
say.
solution. This is
Okay.
not,
Oh.
this is the permanent solution
Long term,
for a referendum. Like if there's a construction project,
okay,
this could be a referendum
okay.
in 2 years, 3
Got it.
years, whatever.
Got it.
This is that long-term,
Could be a build out solution, a
Yeah.
capital project, not what you would, whatever.
we know the solution is to build out. Based on what the projected enrollment looks like, based on what we see next year for full day K in the buildings, and the way that impacts the other parts of the building. We would consolidate some SGI rooms, OTPT speech,
Okay,
it's taking the existing buildings that are operating where they are and putting K in it with this as the end game. Yeah, so that's when we looked at, pathway 1, pathway 2, and then that 3rd solution was the additional projects. This is the additional projects that would take us to the end game.
So what you're saying is we could fit next year, but it would mean there might be classes behind the stage and classes in the
Well,
media.
there's
center.
classes right now behind.
Right, it would
Yeah,
consider that. but-
Yes.
they'll make it happen next
Right.
year, but.
It's
for
not
a
the ideal
permanent-
situation, but it can be done. And this would be the ideal situation.
This would be putting the buildings back to art rooms are art rooms, music rooms are music rooms.
Yeah.
Classrooms aren't on the back of the stage, classrooms aren't in the media centers. Small group instruction rooms are in appropriate rooms. Not that they're in inappropriate rooms, but they're in the non-traditional areas because we're coming
Right.
from a position of heavy overcrowding across the board.
Too
And
narrow.
we're stabilizing now,
Yeah.
which is creating some flexibility and fitting in for making it work, right, for the next couple of years. And then this would be that end game solution to do it. And this gives us projects. So when somebody says, how much is it gonna cost for full day K? And we've talked about construction costs.
This would give us the number.
This will get us to the point where we can say,
Now give me a price
This
for doing
right,
this.
so what's, Mr. Tate, I never remember the name of, where we go out to get the exact price of the project. That's called,
Going out to bid, no?
we engage another firm to take his plans and give us the price.
RFP?
Right, so they use an estimate.
Estimate, yeah, we go through the estimating process, right? So that would give us our nuts and bolts price. This is gonna get us to, the projects.
So in simple words, this $43,000, that's what that we're looking at,
Yeah.
is going to give us a plan as to how it can be done, and then we get
And what it'll look like, we'll have about what it'll look like, where it'll go.
a visual,
Yep.
whether we'll need an extension here or there, or just a, modification within the building. And then we go out to bid with, or get an estimate with,
Then an
Well, no,
estimator
he
takes.
provides estimates.
oh, he does too,
Fraud
This is,
as a result of this?
yes, they
Okay.
promise. And then if you're actually gonna move to the referendum.
Correct.
Then we get a bid.
Because the DOE has, what's called a DOE cost summary.
I was hoping we do get a price, so we do get a,
Yep, right.
yeah,
we're
we
gonna have-
some sort of an idea.
Data from what they're building to establish costs and provides a high level estimate for us.
So, but to go to the referendum, you gotta get that exact.
Yeah,
That's-
from a contract, and kind of, yeah,
And we've seen reports like this before.
yes.
For the middle school project that we were looking at doing across the street, the projects that had, back of the high school here and things
Even
like
for
that.
the golf thing, we've got a design thing, right, for
Yeah.
that property that we, yes,
So this is the standard first step. in
Standard first step.
Moving the project along.
yeah. The back of the middle school when we were looking at moving the,
And this is what we have in our back pocket. Sometimes we talk about with Mr. Tate having a roof designed,
it's
then when we
from
get the
years
money,
ago of having done this.
we're ahead of the game, and that's how we could actually leverage the roof a year in advance at Applegarth relative to the HVAC project, because we had it designed already.
I know we gained some time on the referendum because we'd done it preemptively, the design study, and we were able to meet the timeline for
Yep.
the referendum because we had that.
And then, and the cost of this is paid for by that
That five.
$5,000.
I have another question I just thought of from last meeting. Any update on the breakers for the high school?
Can I?
We're waiting for
Yeah.
the part.
Yes, so we're targeting, we have been targeting the week of.
We'll be able to get the parts.
Yes,
Oh, perfect.
to do it then, but I'm not sure, as we, I only junk is we're gonna use. I put it out for competitive quoting and the contractor who's doing Applegarth School actually,
Bid on that.
yeah, so we're not gonna pull him from
No.
A to do B, so.
This is for the high school for
The
the
breakers.
HVAC
Yeah.
system. Okay.
One more thing to share.
Yeah.
I did just want to ask really quick about the design study. I think we should move on. That's my choice. But I
We have
think,
the
but
money for it.
right, I guess my question was, knowing that we obviously are in no place to even like start talking about universals preschool before we have this going,
Oh, you're right. No, you make a valid point.
I know what you're gonna say. If we were to include that for the design studies, because there is that grant money out there for universal preschool, just like looking into it. Is there the ability for them to say like, this is what you need in order to operate full day kindergarten, and this is what you would need if you're also doing universal preschool, and then we have the money from the $500,000.
Can we use that towards a design study for universal pre-K though? Can we use the 500,000?
Well, I was going the other way and saying, I know there were grants, so like look at
But we never
facilities for
got those.
preschool. We couldn't because we didn't have full day K. But I didn't know if we were to include them both in one design study, if are still grants out there for universal preschool facilities. And if we could sort of incorporate both things into that, so that then we're sort of potentially saving that money for other needs for kindergarten, if that makes sense.
I do understand. I think the scope of what we're looking at for pre-K is astronomical comparative to what this is. Picture the schools are full, right? And in many cases, these two buildings are
Yeah,
overflowing. This project would get us to be not overflowing in the schools at the pre-K, at the K-3 schools, right? So now we're all at a full level. If we're looking at pre-K, in many districts, that's approaching more than kindergarten numbers, right? Depending on what age we're starting, it could be
Right.
2 grade levels worth of kids, so we
Yeah.
could be potentially 800 students.
right.
We'd be looking at the construction of facilities to accommodate 800 students. That is, if one building, it would be a massive building. We're looking at, 3 locations, 3 cafeterias, 3, like, that is an entire different piece.
Right,
And when we met with the state, they did not encourage the construction of new facilities on the pre-K side of
Right.
things. They were very, 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 I guess, advocating for that the private, public partnership piece.
yeah,
Because they recognize that pre-K enrollment is variable,
Yes.
right? About, some parents' beliefs are get the kids in school as soon as possible, some is hold on to them as long as possible. So you have a lot of variability, and attendance is variable as well. You have someone sign up for 5 days a week, and we're seeing in some of the districts that are implementing, they commit. The district plans for a 5-day-a-week program, and they come 2 to 3 days a week. So you end up with,
it's a totally
right, and
different.
if you're constructing a facility from scratch, that's where that hesitation comes from. Which is why I think that public-private partnership would be the lens for us to start looking at
Right.
once we just the K piece. And again, it's a different animal in terms of construction project. I wouldn't want to mesh the two together, because I
Got
think this could be a potentially very reasonable, doable project.
Yes.
Okay,
Relative to the scale of anything we've looked at before.
that makes.
It was a
sense.
good talk. Not today.
So I have one more thing to share. It wasn't on the agenda, but it's something, Ms. DePayne, Ms. Alvarez, myself, and Mr. Tague met with the township. We did mention in the confidential
Oh, yes,
that, we
yeah.
met with the township.
Yeah.
It was, they invited us to come over, and it was to discuss a potential shared services opportunity. They have been, in receipt of a grant to, look into and potentially construct indoor recreational facilities. So they brought up an idea for us, and they said, you guys have a property over on Applegarth Road, the old driving range property. And they basically said, they're gathering data in a community survey, and they wanted to potentially expand that survey to get more information about an indoor facility. And even if we were open to discussion and even pursuing and looking into constructing that indoor recreational facility on that land.
So this is
So-
just them using the land?
This is our land.
Right.
This would be a construction cost that would be totally covered by the township, right? So the shared services would combine our land with their construction project. We talked about, that is the site where we kind of have in our back pocket for a school in the future. And we discussed, if that indoor recreational facility was something that could be utilized as a gymnasium in the future, then if we ever needed as a school, we could build a school and connect to that gym, which was already built. So if we were building a school, that's a large chunk of a school that we wouldn't need to build in the future, right? So it makes our project smaller. It begins to utilize land that we're not using right now to meet the needs of our community. It was a really, back of the napkin, no drawings, kind of, it was just let's have this conversation. It's definitely something that I think we should pursue and look into with them. I think it's an opportunity for us in the long run, if you look at it from a school perspective, coordinating with them to build a facility that would meet the DOE standards, which would maybe be different than what they would normally, but if they did that, And we don't have a school on the dockets, right? And
Yeah,
there's nothing
not right
in
now,
the
no.
near future. But if there was something that we needed to put on there, that is a large chunk of square footage of a building that we would need to build, and it would be already there. And we could then hook up to it and utilize it during the day. Again, this is the weeds that we would get into moving forward in this project about, what the land looks like, where it's built, we would be a part of that process, yeah.
It's a large area, right?
Yeah, so,
Would we be able to, like, on part of that building, use it for like PPS offices or like if
we
they had
already
a
have,
building, would there be like a section where we could maybe have offices for with
already,
super personnel and everything else that may be part of this building, a section of.
we already have an office right there, right?
Special
services,
They're not
yeah.
talking about impact on our office.
That is
I'm
not
just saying,
gonna
if they're gonna build a building and we need space, would we be able to utilize some?
Again, we were on I call it the back of the napkin
Yeah,
kind of
it
ideas.
was very, very.
I have no issue bringing up, this is, if you're thinking of this, we're thinking of this, let's talk about it,
I
work
think
together.
Definitely a conversation we can keep going.
Yeah.
With every conversation, you get more and more details from them. And maybe this could become a standing agenda item in Finance and Shared Services Committee going forward. Like to your point, we don't want to not have the possibility of space for a school because that's how we originally got it. But you're right, we could use that space. So it all depends on what kind of a facility are they building? What's their primary use for that? If it's going to be indoor pickleball courts, I don't know how we.
Well, their communication with us is, we would be a part of the design.
Yeah.
And that's
part of
what we
that
need.
process.
Stay with that conversation, right?
They're also gathering information, so I think they reached out to
Surveying
us.
the, right.
And their thought was, if we got the survey out there, if we tweak it, maybe extend it a little bit, we can get some feedback directly related to this potential idea. And the mayor's gonna send out an update to the survey very shortly, whether it's gone out or.
Came out tonight. and
Not tonight,
came around to show.
I did mention to them that we had our meeting tonight, and I wanted to throw this out there to the committee, and to the public. And then he was gonna put his message, so they're gonna get feedback. We are gonna be a part of that process. Any approvals, again, it's our land,
So
so.
we don't legally sign a contract, this conversation should keep moving forward.
And it was something they said that the structure is needed on that side of
It is.
town. Because the structure over here on the opposite side, is that the south side?
That's,
Am I on the south
But
side
you're
or
right,
what?
there-
I'm
you're
here,
missing-
north, south,
you're
east, and
missing
west.
interaction.
That structure is actually needed for the community on
Yeah.
that side of town.
it's very.
And I
hard.
remember I sat next to Mr. Tig, and he mumbled, and I don't know if you remember what you said. Well, 5 years down the line, that might, instead of costing us 120 million, it might be 85 million if we can connect to that building. So I overheard you, was I correct? And
Right.
the numbers are a little bit off.
It would definitely help us
Don't
out.
hurt Mr. Tate.
But I'm saying, he mentioned, 5 years down the line, but how much more, how less it would be for us to attach to the facility over there, and the facility would work for the community. Now, the building at the senior center are 6 brand-new pickleball courts.
They're building pickleball courts, just basically.
Yes. if
You're right, outside though, they're not indoor. I think they're looking
No.
at building an indoor facility here.
Yeah, again.
Well,
we can
it's
get into
all,
that.
they haven't really said what it was going to be. They just said it was a structure, not as big
Yeah.
as the one over here on that side of
Oh,
town.
okay.
It, that's what I heard, and it would
Because this
be a little
property
bit
is huge.
smaller than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it was a back of the
It was
napkin
just-
conversation.
yeah.
They have a $1.5 million grant
Right,
to allocate towards, indoor
But
recreation
1.5 million.
grant
yeah.
allocated
That's it.
right now. Yep, allocated towards that. Again, that's why they're broaching the discussion, because they need more funds.
Yes.
And they're gonna have to go try and find more funds. So,
I do think,
but we want to have these ideas out there. And, our feedback as we go through it is, a general gymnasium facility is very flexible. You can play pickleball in a general. You can roll the wrestling mats out there. You can have cheer practice out there, so a general facility is flexible for us in the future. It's flexible for our community in the current, but
It's
again,
win-win.
we're,
It's a win-win.
Or it is.
The land is sitting,
It's just sitting there.
as long as it does not shut our possibilities for the future.
yeah.
We should-
This actually helps our.
It opens up more, it
Yeah.
opens up the possibility for a good
This,
future.
Where we are handling a lot of the facility needs for the rec
We would need to
department
give them that
right now.
time and
And
insight.
if this is there,
Yeah.
you know, because they can't fit everybody
Yes,
in that one rec building, now they'll have a second one, which will offload some of
right.
what we're dealing with here too. And we might be able to use that also. So
Did
like-
you have any thoughts on that, Mr. Tate?
We all thought it was great. It was a
It's a
very
win-win, right?
very
It is a-
minimalistic meeting, like Dr. Lehman said. You know, we were invited to go, and they just brought it up, and the property's sitting there. So why don't they want to do something for that side of town and for the community. And
And I
then
think
potential school, so.
as long as we keep doing our due diligence,
Yep.
our
Yeah, oh,
lawyers
yeah.
are always watching our back, we keep our future plan in
Right.
place, there is no harm. This is only a win.
I don't see any problem, yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
any problem with any of that, but these gentlemen, Mr. Teg, I mean, you know, I think we have no problem with that.
Yeah, so as things move
Probably
along.
bring it up in
we'll-
a regular board
Yep.
discussion.
and
Well,
if there's
Dr.
something to
Lehman-
report, there's
Dr.
something
Lehman
to report. If
bring it
there's
up.
nothing to report, then we will, but yep.
But just that we are,
Yep.
Well,
We'll just
I mentioned it in my president's report.
yeah,
and
but
he
no
was-
details.
No,
Yeah.
he
yeah.
said that he would give the details this
Yeah.
evening,
Yeah, so
and I
just
said,
probably give it to the.
right. I need to, before you start, I don't know,
Go ahead.
I need a board goal, because Gonzalo said we could combine a board goal with
I
BGT
think
and
we should
finance.
work with, like, the goal with finance and PGT would be the kindergarten, because that's something,
Yeah.
both our committees
I
and
think our
thing
BG&T.
that our board really wants to accomplish.
Full day
That would
kindergarten.
be,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Something
finance
related to
goes
finance.
From an infrastructure and finance.
Well, I mean, we're supporting the design study,
yeah,
right? So from a financial perspective, it's supporting the needs of rolling that out.
yes.
From a BG&T standpoint, it's, well, again, you guys are supporting
Doing all
that
the
document.
work,
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's,
That's it. Again, it's
So,
two different lenses.
Discussing, potential solutions to provide full day
So
kindergarten.
I've got 3 or 4 people saying 3 and 4 different things.
all the same.
How do you want to condense that, please, Mr. Puro?
To combine our finance and building to work to full day kindergarten
And
as a
BGT?
goal.
So like
Would we-
support the financial and,
Infrastructure.
yeah,
Right, from another, from,
Financial
for
and
BG&T,
facility
Mr. Tate, we're
needs.
in 2026 soon.
Okay,
A
now
lot
you're
of
giving
these
me a-
projects, ESA projects will,
Same one.
We're-
I guess, a lot of the major ones will kind of start to
Please.
be finished next year. Do we want to start looking at phase 2? You think that should that even be a thought right now? Phase 2,
Oh,
and we're doing more with this sort of, with ESA.
Decent.
Do we have more?
Was there a phase? Did I-
Like we were just talking, right? There's some equipment that was already at 25 years. There is other
Oh,
equipment
oh.
in our district that's reaching 20 years. Can we go to, do we have any possibility of looking at, if we are seeing success in phase 1? Is ESIP our solution to more of the capital projects, infrastructure needs? Or did we
No.
tackle it all?
ESIP will, when the finances of ESIP close out, there may be some more cream on the top, which we can apply to.
Okay.
But
The only reason I asked was because when we were researching on this, there were a few case studies of other districts that they'd gone to phase 2. They'd done more projects after successfully finishing phase
When
1.
this is done.
Right, I guess my question, and this can be a discussion later on, but when they did the study to determine what we could and could not do for ESIP, like, that was a pretty comprehensive thing, so were there other things that weren't on there that you're suggesting?
No,
that were-
No, we're coming up to date, as you said, finishing.
Our equipment keeps saying,
Equipment will be a couple more years old.
Okay, so just looking at it again.
and if you took off the planning stage, we're looking at what's gonna hit that mark
Yes.
3 years from now,
Okay,
4 years from
to
now.
that point, remember, you have $500,000 to put towards the kindergarten
She
program.
mentioned,
So you're committing, the architect's proposal here, and you'll see in there are other components that have to be explored. So as he gets into the design development, we have to have wetland studies done, we have to have geotechnical studies done. So.
we'll use it.
But the remaining money is for capital expenditures.
so we
You
can
have
replace.
infrastructure needs at Barkley Brook, which you could use that money for, to take care of the things that he said could not have Barclay Road.
Because the kindergarten is going to be housed there, so technically it falls.
Yeah, that would be a big step forward and a great way to use that money to continue the process.
You good? Thanks, everyone. We'll be the conclusion of our meeting.
Thank you.